Well, hello there. Um, I'm going to talk about something right now that I guess it is a little controversial and it may get me into a little trouble. And I tend to try to keep my videos on here pretty much about my life and dealing with the situation I'm currently in and, about my cat Rocky, who is right there. Having a, I don't know if you can see him. I've turned the camera around, but there he is, if you can see him. He's having a little rest there on top of me. Um, in fact, I know most of you wouldn't really watch this channel if it weren't for Rocky. I wouldn't watch it if it was just me on here. Really, I wouldn't. So I understand that, and you know, like I say, Rocky is pretty precious anyway, and I'm glad that you all love him as much as you do. I certainly love him. I'd be lost without my Rocky. But what I want to talk about right now is a thing that's happening up here in Canada. Um, I'm in Ontario, Canada. I'm in eastern Ontario. I'm about 50 miles west of Ottawa. But this is a thing that's happening right across the country. And I'm finding it disturbing myself. And this is why I'm going to make this video. I feel like I have to. My conscience won't let me not make it. And so I may upset some people, and if I do, I'm sorry. I don't intend to upset people. But I just feel a real need to speak on this issue. And like I say, this is just my opinion, and take it for whatever it's worth to you. If it's worth nothing to you, that's fair. You don't know me, really. There's no reason why what I say should matter to you. But it matters to me, and that's why I'm saying it. And I guess I'm being a little selfish in that. But, it's my channel, so I'll do that from time to time. You know, that's not very nice, is it? But it's true. I will occasionally do this. Not often, but occasionally I will. What I want to talk about today is a program we have here in Canada, and it's, well, what they call it is MAID. MAID. MAID stands for Medical Assistance in Dying. Basically, it's a euthanasia program is what it is for human beings. Now, I do understand that there are those who are terminally ill and they're in agony and they're not going to get better and the painkillers aren't working anymore and they may suffer for months before they actually die just in agony. And I can understand those people wanting to end it a little early, because, I mean, if you're in that situation, where there's no hope and there's nothing ahead of you but just pain, then it's understandable that you might want to do that. And so I'm not so much talking about those people, although I have mixed feelings about it because it's still suicide, and because I believe in God, I have an issue with suicide. You know, I I don't really believe in suicide, but I do understand it, and especially in those circumstances, I really understand it. And so this isn't a judgment against those people or against anybody who may choose to participate in this MAID program, even those who aren't terminally ill, who are participating in it for other reasons. The judgment I'm passing is against our government here and against our authorities that are pushing this thing. Because what's happening is they're expanding the eligibility for it, and they're decreasing the amount of time it takes to get it. And at this point, they're actually putting it through that if you request MAID from a physician, that service can be delivered to you the same day you request it. So basically, if you just had the worst day of your life, if a whole bunch of bad stuff has happened to you, and this has happened to all of us at one time or another, and you've just suffered terrible losses and you're devastated, and you don't feel like you can face what's coming, because you know there's a whole bunch of bad stuff coming that hasn't gotten here yet, but it's coming, you know. And you're already a person who's maybe prone to clinical depression and things like that. You know, a system like we have in place now, you may be tempted just to give up. But you might have a lot of good years ahead of you. You might get through it all. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. But see, we have a system that says, oh, just give up and we'll help you die. You know, don't worry about it. You don't have to face all that. We'll just put you down. It's all good. Just let us know, you know. And now there are stories coming out where doctors are even telling people that they're selfish if they don't have themselves put down, if they don't avail themselves of MAID. Because they're saying these people are costing the system a lot of money, you know. And so they have a moral obligation to end it, basically. And this is what they're telling people. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's just wrong. You know, you should never make something like that widely available, and you should never pressure anybody into it. If they're going to do something like that, it should be a personal decision made by them and not by a doctor or anyone like that. And also, there should be a certain period of time between when you request it and when it's made available to you, and to give you a chance to reconsider, to give you a chance to think about it. And, you know, like I say, it breaks my heart to see what's happening in my country right now, you know. It just about breaks my heart. I've actually been in tears at times over it when I've heard stories. A good friend of mine knows a man who availed himself of that recently, and he's been really troubled by it, you know. And the thing is, I don't even know that man. I never met that man, and I'm troubled by it. Just hearing the story, it troubles me. And I'm not going to get into details because that's that man's business. But he's gone now anyway. He did go through with it. They're even saying now that teenagers can avail themselves of it, and the parents don't have to be consulted. The parents don't even have to be informed. As a teenager, if you're having a bad time of it, if you're not feeling very good about things, or things are tough, or whatever, you can just go to the doctor and ask him to have you, to take you out, and he'll do it, and he won't tell your parents. You know, I mean, when I was a teenager, I faced all kinds of bad stuff. You know, I mean, I ended up in jail because my stepmother had pulled a knife on me and the Children's Aid got involved. She pulled a knife on me because I was going to Mass. The Children's Aid got involved in that. And I did make a couple of videos telling the story, but they caused some trouble in my family, so I deleted them because it caused some hurt feelings anyway, so I deleted them. But the thing is, I did spend 7 months in jail when I was 15 years old in 1983, because basically because my stepmother was crazy, because she hated Catholics, and I was Catholic, and I was going to Mass, and she was mad at me for that, and because a social worker didn't want to deal with a teenager. Pardon me. So, now right there, when I was told what was going to happen to me, I was terrified. I can't guarantee that if the opportunity to put an end to it all had been available to me in 1983, that I wouldn't have taken it, because I was that scared. But you know, all these bad things that happened, and some of it was quite traumatic, and I had experiences in that place that I can't even talk about a lot of the stuff that happened there because I fall apart if I try to. But, I saw things in there that would just make you sick to your stomach. And I experienced things in there that nobody should ever have to experience. And at the same time, though, those things strengthened me. Those things did make me a more compassionate person. They made me a better person. They made me see the world less in a less black and white way. They made me see that, things aren't always as they seem on the surface. Just because somebody's in jail, that doesn't mean they're a bad person. There's any number of ways you can end up in jail. Doesn't mean they're a good person either. There are plenty of bad people in jail. But there are also plenty of bad people working within the system. People who are highly respected within society. So, and who are well thought of and probably shouldn't be. And so, see, this deal with this medically assisted suicide, it's being expanded to cover more and more individuals. It's being made easier and easier to get. It's a serious thing. You can't undo it. You take your life, that's it. You better be real sure before you do that. Because you can't undo it. You can't unkill yourself. You better really be sure. There's no changing your mind. There's no going back once you've done this thing. And yet they're making it easier and easier, and they're making it seem like it's nothing. It's just nothing. Yeah, we'll take care of that for you. Don't worry about it. Just come into the office. We'll take care of that. We'll go to your house and kill you. In this country right now, there are people waiting 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years for surgery who are suffering in pain because their joints are all messed up and whatnot, and they can't get their surgery. But if they want to kill themselves, they can do it the same day. I know a woman. I have a friend who needs her knees replaced. She's been waiting 2, 3 years to have that done, 2 or 3 years. She's suffering terribly. Her quality of life is completely gone because of it. And, she's still waiting. Who knows when or if she'll get her operation. But she could go to the doctor today and ask the doctor to kill her, and the doctor would do it. And it would happen quickly. I don't know if they've actually gotten... I know they're going to remove the mandatory waiting period, but I don't know if they've done it yet. And I don't know how long that is, even if they haven't done it. But the bottom line is, they are going to remove it, and it's going to be available on the same day you ask for it, if that hasn't already happened. Another thing I'm really wondering about is, if we've got this process down where we can just give somebody a shot, give them a needle, and they go to sleep, and it's a dignified, peaceful process, you just go to sleep and you don't wake up, why haven't the Americans been banging on our door? Why haven't they been asking us how we're doing it? That's my other phone there, sorry about that. Why haven't they been... Because look, they have lethal injections in the United States for convicted murderers. And they've had terrible problems down there with botched executions. It's been an embarrassment for them. It's been a troubling thing to see. They have people on death row in the United States choosing to die in the electric chair if they can, because they consider the electric chair the lesser of the two available evils. Because there's just been too many botched lethal injections. So why wouldn't they be coming up here asking us, hey, how you doing it? Like, we'll do that down there. That way we won't have people writhing in agony on a gurney for a half hour while they die, I mean, we're not hearing anything about that. We're not here, So can they actually do it humanely? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they can. I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying that if they can, it seems strange to me that we're not hearing about the Americans wanting to know how we're doing it, wanting to know what drug protocols we're using and how we figure out the dosages and how we administer it and so on. Because I can tell you, If I worked on death row in the United States, I wouldn't want that job anyway. But if that was my job, if I was okay with that and that was my job, and I was the guy that had to kill people, I was the guy that had to actually carry out death sentences on convicted individuals, I'd be up here. I'd be up here and I'd be asking, how are you doing it? Is it working? Like, is it consistently the same? Is it peaceful? Is it dignified? And if it is, I want you to show me how you're doing it. Because I don't want to torture people to death. I just want to carry out the sentences according to what's been written by the judge. I'm not looking to make people suffer. I'm just looking to kill them in accordance with our laws. So if you can tell me how to do that and how to do it properly, I'll be grateful to you. You know, I'd be up here talking to people saying, hey, show me how you're doing this. Yet maybe they are, I don't know, but if they are, I haven't heard of it. You know, there's nothing been on the news about that they've been asking about it. So is our protocol really any better than what they have down there? Do we have people writhing in agony as they're dying while availing themselves of this so-called service that's being provided by our medical system, which can't even provide us with basic services to keep us alive and to keep us out of pain and to make it less likely that we'd want to take our own lives because our quality of life would be better. You know, I mean, there's just something rotten about the whole thing anyway. And I mean, I understand that there are people who aren't going to get better and who are in agony. And as much as I really don't like suicide, I'm not going to say that. I mean, it would be wrong of me to impose my point of view on somebody like that. But I mean, the idea that you could be a teenage boy, say, and the girl that you like has rejected you, and you're devastated. And I was there too. I had that happen when I was a teenager, and I had it happen more than once. I'm not a guy that the females ever particularly liked or wanted to be with, so I've been rejected constantly. And it's hard, like it hurts. You feel your heart break. You know, it's a terrible thing. You feel it physically when that happens. And when you're young like that, you really feel it, you know. But the thing is, I mean, the idea that a teenage boy in that situation or a teenage girl in that situation could just go to the doctor and say, I want to end it. Like, life isn't worth living. And the doctor would help them to do that. There was a time when if you went to the doctor and you told him you wanted to take your own life, he'd put you in a hospital. You know, he'd put you in there for your own safety, you know, and to get to the bottom of why you want to do this and to help you to not want to do it. Now, you know, yeah, yeah, we'll do that for you. Don't worry about it. You know, what's happened to us? What's happened to us? Anyway, you know, I don't read a script when I write. I don't write it all down. This is all just off the top of my head, and I don't know if I've expressed myself very well. And I probably, or maybe I have offended some people. But I'm speaking from the heart. It's how I really feel about it. And anybody's entitled to disagree with me. I'll uphold anybody in that. You know, everybody's entitled to an opinion, whether I agree or not. But I'm still entitled to my opinion too, and I think this thing needs to be reined in. I think it needs to be tightened up. If it's available at all, it has to be available only to a very few people, and it has to be really scrutinized. It's not something that should just be done haphazardly or thoughtlessly, because life is precious. And you know, sometimes your worst day